Hey guys, what's going on and welcome back to another video. So before I get into the topic of how to save baby fish when they're born, I just want to mention that if you want to get up-to-date and live updates of the fish room, as well as participate in discussions that I will be in very often, subscribe and follow me on Patreon. The link is in the cards to the top right, so somewhere up here, as well as in the link in the description below. So what I want to discuss in this video is how do you save baby fish when they're being born? I get this question a lot on Guppy Fish Enthusiasts, and I thought I'd cover some of the things that I've done previously and what I highly recommend to do, what I do now and highly recommend. You might have seen in a lot of my other videos where I would keep the female in these breeder boxes and then put a canvas mesh in the bottom to separate the tank in half. So the female would be in the top half, the fry would then fall into the bottom. That does work, and I have had a lot of success with it, but I feel like it would stress out the fish a lot. You would have to gauge pretty much when the females are ready to give birth, and then move them around that time because you don't want to put them in there too early, and that's always a very hard thing to do. As many of you know, a lot of times the fish do look pregnant and they're not ready to give birth yet. So that's something that I've done before, and I'm just not a huge fan of. I still do like to raise some fry in these tanks, but they don't stay in there for too long. I also have a video that will be in the cards to the top right now on how to build breeder boxes yourself out of canvas mesh. I've done that plenty of times, and you put those in whatever tank you want. You drop the female in it, and when the fry are born, they fall into the actual tank. That method does work also, but again, it has the same issue as the last one. You have to know when the females are ready to give birth, and then you also have to... It pretty much just stresses the fish out, and I would not recommend it. So what I'm doing for my Dumbo Ear Red Mosaic Dragon, if you want to get a better look at these guys, the last video before this one, I have a close-up of them as well as a slow motion if you want to take a quick look. So what I'm doing with this one is instead of taking the females out, which you see these two females right here, yes, they are in this 30-gallon tank dedicated just to this strain of fish, is keep them in a tank and provide them with a lot of cover for the fry to hide in. I will get to what this is because of that. But before I did that, I removed the male as soon as I knew the females were pregnant, and I put him in his own separate tank, so he's right here. Yes, this is the shrimp tank. There's shrimp everywhere, so I'm not worried about him eating any of the baby shrimp. So the guy is over here. Then, this is acrylic yarn. I got green just because it looks more natural for a tank. And I wrapped it around, say, like a book or anything. So you just literally wrap it around the book over and over again until you get a bunch of layers. Then you tie off one end with string or anything, and then you cut off the bottom. So that circle you just had now is pretty much a U shape. So it should look like it'd be a U shape just like that. So one of these strings goes all the way around and back to the bottom. These were attached at one point, and I literally just cut them there. If you guys want clarification or a clearer video of this, just let me know in the comments below, and I can make a video on how to actually build this beginning to start. Then my issue was, when I put this in the tank, it's going to float. Just because that's its natural instinct to do, I guess. So eventually it did start taking on water and it would sink, but not the way I wanted, as all the strands were all the same length. So I decided to boil it, and if you look very closely at all these strands, they're very wavy now, and some of these are longer than the others. What boiling did was it created some breakage. So these, if you look at the ends, you can see how they're a little frayed. I like that. And then also changed some of their shapes to look like this, so it was more of an organic shape. Boiling it caused some of the fibers to shrink while others to stretch, and this is pretty much the outcome of it. And pretty much if you stand back here, it just looks like Java moss, really, like if you look really quickly. And this should give the fish a lot of areas to hide in. So let's just drop this in the tank. It automatically sinks. I attach this cup to it because you can pick these up at the dollar store, very cheap, and they float. Regardless if they take on water, they'll always float because styrofoam is just naturally buoyant. And that's pretty much it, and it gives an area for the fry to hide in. All the other actual live plants I have in here will attached to it. I'm just going to shake these guys around a little bit so they spread out. The other plants will attach and it will create a nice little nursery, safe area for the fish. Let me see if I can get these guys to spread out a bit more. There you go. So when the fry are born, they have a nice place to hide and get away from the parents. This way is probably the best in my opinion. You won't have the highest survival rate in the fry, just because if they're weak or anything, they won't be able to get away from the parents as well. So if you want to optimize and maximize the amount of fry that you're saving, breeder boxes are probably your best way to go, but you have to remember you'll be stressing out your female, which increases the chance of her not surviving. This method, you have the females in the tanks, they're not stressed, they give birth as they would like, they do their normal daily thing, and then the fry will hide in the plants until they're strong enough to be swimming and free swimming. Usually about after a week they'll start hiding less and less, and the parents at that point will not eat them. And with my setup, what I'll do is after a week of the fry being in here, I grab the male again, put him right back in so he can be with the females, and then when I see that they're close to giving birth again, I'll remove them. So that's what I'm doing with my Dumbo Ear Red Mosaic Dragons. I'll keep you guys updated on the survival rate of this. It is a process I've done before and it's worked. You don't get that much of a survival rate as high as you would with the breeder boxes, but it's survival of the fittest, or the strongest Guppy Fry are the ones that are surviving. Again, if you want to see what the Red Dragon Dumbo Ear Mosaics look like, just check out the previous video, which should show up at the end of this in my clips, with a closer slow motion view of them. Again, if you want to follow Home Aquatics live and real time, just check out Patreon where you can follow and subscribe. The link is in the description and in the cards above. And if you're looking for products that I recommend in keeping guppies off of Amazon, check the description below as I have a link for that as well. So thanks for checking out the channel. If you're new, I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you're new, and if you're a returning viewer, thanks for checking out my video. Drop a comment, I always respond, or try to respond as much as possible, and leave a like. Alright guys, have a good one, until next time.
We'll be right back.